it sucks once you read your stuff because it becomes so simple. Like business becomes so simple when you choose your attitude, when you play, when you're present, and when you make somebody's day. Is there any business out there that couldn't use those 4 principles to be able to go to the next place?
I've been racking my brain over that one for 20-something years because, I talk about it and people ask me in the seminars. Now, I've had some interesting audience members, FBI agents, military people, engineers. One time I did this and I talk about anyone can figure out a way of playing, right? And an engineer, and I always leave my number and my email address in my books and in my seminars. If you look in the back of those 2 books, my contact information's there because I want people to contact me. And I get an email saying, Mr. Paul, I love that stuff on play. Could you tell me how to play at work? And I go, what do I do with this poor guy? And I didn't know how to answer him. And then he goes, Mr. Paul, another day goes by. I'm still waiting for those bullet points on how to play. I go, okay, I got it. So I sent him a whole page of bullet points, just the bullet points.
Do you find that when you do that, though, that sometimes that takes the fun out of actually playing? When, like, if you have to structure how to have a good time, are you actually having a good time?
No. You can't mandate. You can't mandate fun, and you can't have a matrix that analyzes the fun after there's fun. It has to be organic, and everyone that's involved, everyone that's in the group, everyone's in the company, their ideas of fun has to be had, heard, and used, because what's fun for you may not be fun for me. But if we all have our ideas in there, we're able to, I'll go along with that. You'll go along with me. And it gets it organic. When I do my presentations, I say, okay, I want everyone at their tables in the next 5 minutes come up with 25 ways of having fun at work. And I will test you because it has to be part of the work process. And you hear the groans and moans. And, sometimes they get 25, sometimes they get 10, sometimes they get, 5. And I said, but could you imagine if you did this with your whole group, you would have hundreds of different ways of having fun. And I said, if you get stuck, you have experts at fun, a lot of you at home. They're called your children. Let's face it, they're freeloaders. They're the gift that keeps on receiving. Put them to work. Mom and dad want some ways of having fun at work. And they'll say, how many do you want? They're experts at it. Use that resource. And then another thing, you brought up the 4 parts. Yeah. And I always looked at the 4 parts as 2 each. Choose your attitude, right? And play. You can't play with a bad attitude. Think about it. Maybe if you're a ball player, professional athlete, but you cannot play with a bad attitude.
It takes everybody down around you.
Exactly. And then if you try to help get somebody out of that bad attitude, their bad attitude is still there. And who has a bad attitude now? You do.
How hard is this with having concepts like you have, right? And you're speaking about it, things like that. How hard is it to actually, because you get called to the table on these things at times, and I'm sure you being, having relationships, having children, all this stuff. How often does Harry Paul get called to, like, when you lose your religion? Meaning, the other day I got up, I was a little bit late, I put on a shirt, and it had been left in the washer by me for a little bit too long before I went in the dryer, so it was funky. And then, Harry, as I walk out, I step in dog pee on my carpet. At that point, I motivationally speak throughout the world. I lift people up. I talk about attitude. I talk about these things. And at that point, I wanted to punch someone in the face. But I got called to the table by my family and saying, like, well, if you're going to say that on Instagram or you're going to say that on your podcast, aren't you living by, do you get called to the table on your own principles?
Not so much from the family, because our Fish came out in 2000. Okay. And our kids were born in the late 80s. So this kind of helped us raise the children. Okay. But do I get called on it? Not really. More with myself, like you did. Yeah.
When did you screw up the last time, and then you had to go back to the principles?
Well, I'll give you an example. You used the dog example. A week and a half ago, we had to put down one of our dogs. It's a horrible, gut-wrenching thing. Yeah. And you know, two things happen. Yeah, you lose a dog and you have a vet bill that's like, what? So what happens to your attitude? Then where did I go? Wow. Look at thinking back of those 13 years we had with that dog, how much fun he's been and how he interacted with our other dogs. So that changes the things, because when you think about attitude, it's a choice.
Yeah.
And you get to make that choice every day.